Welcome to The Cutting Edge. My name is Lillian Keetse, and I head the Client Solutions Functional Division. We're responsible for end-to-end client lifecycle management and program execution. With me today is one of our clients, INSETA. INSETA stands for the Insurance Sector Education and Training Authority. I'm going to hand over to our clients just to introduce themselves. Zak and Kgothatso, please introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Zak. I'm a research specialist at INSETA. I work in the Skills and Research Division.
I'm Kgothatso Modise, the Learning Division Manager, and my portfolio includes the worker programs, which means that we look after all employed people within the insurance industry. And assisting employers to obviously help with skills development needs. And part of the portfolio is small micro-management strategy, where we look after the brokers within our sector in support of them being able to build sustainable businesses and helping them to develop themselves in the process.
Awesome. Thank you, Kgothatso and Zak. I think before we get to the topic of today, we'll get into it today. I think just give us a brief overview. So for someone who doesn't know INSETA, right, what does INSETA do at a high level?
At a high level, we are part of the 21 SETAs that were established, and we look after the insurance industry and related sectors. So we have employers that fall under our portfolio, where we support them with skills development needs, ranging from employed people within the sector and also unemployed youth. So our employed people, we support them with bursaries, skills programs, candidacy, adult education training, and we have, as I said earlier on, support for small businesses and cooperatives. And part of our big strategy is to assist with unemployed youth, where we offer them learnerships, internships, work-integrated learning, and skills programs. So we primarily look after the skills development needs of the sector as a whole, but also looking at, resolving the issues of unemployment within our country.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Quite informative, and I think quite a lot that you've basically described channels into our topic for discussion today. So our topic for discussion today is how corporates are changing the way that they view and contribute towards SME development. So you've already spoken about skills development and how INSETA is assisting brokers from an SME development perspective. So I think let's probably start off with an overview. So what are you doing in terms of supporting these SMEs, be it brokers or non-brokers? So what does your program look like?
Okay, so we've got a number of programs, and Zak will talk about the research component of it, because obviously before we even implement any program, there has to be a research that informs what we need to implement. So currently we do anything from bursaries, your skills program, which means that a broker, if it is that they've got an FSP registration and they're registered with INSETA, they can submit compliance requirements with INSETA, apply through our discretionary grant program, and have themselves or the employees, go through a skills development program, either it's a bursary or a skills program to upskill themselves. And not only that, we've got a couple of programs that are specifically looking at business support and development. So that we can assist the brokers to be able to, grow sustainable businesses, look after their finances very well. As we know that we've been through the pandemic, some of the businesses have closed. So we have to try and assist them to prepare for any eventuality that might come, either now or in the future. So that's one of the things that we do. But like I said, primarily it comes from the research that is being done as to how do we then channel the funding that we have and the programs that we have to assist the brokers within our sector.
Thanks, KG. Zach, can you give us an overview of, what would happen in the research department? So how would it start from inception? So there's obviously a need, and then you guys conduct the research. Following those research findings, we then design a program to provide the relevant support to these brokers. So when do you guys kick off research? What triggers that?
So we have a research and learning committee that we meet every quarter, which is made up of industry, institutions, academics, and different CEOs of companies. And we have think tank discussions where we discuss topics related to the insurance sector. So we also have 3 research chairs. One is the University of Cape Town. Mm-hmm. We have the Durban University of Technology, and recently we had the Wits University. Mm-hmm. And they conduct our research for us. Mm-hmm. And the topics that come through are from the research and learning committees that we conduct on a quarterly basis. And from there, we develop research topics, and our university partners conduct research for us. So we provide all the information and the data, and we guide the chairs or the researchers to conduct this research. So our DUT partner does digitization, and they conduct research on 4IR. Mm-hmm. And we have our University of Cape Town who conduct research on the labor market, on the insurance sector. And from there, the topics come through, and then they conduct the research for us, and we assist in that, in conducting the research.
Yeah, I'm loving this. I'm loving how there's a lot of upfront work, and we're trying to make sure that the support that we're going to be providing to the SMEs is beneficial and it actually targets their needs. And in us doing so, INSETA is not doing it, solely, but you're collaborating with a number of, industry bodies, academia, to come together to solve for this, how do we develop our SMEs? So there's a few words that you both spoke about. There was digitization, there was, the labor market, there was the pandemic. So I would like for you to walk me through how has, your SME development programs, how have they evolved throughout the years? How have your SME development programs evolved?
It's a very interesting question, because we, as INSETA, we had to go through revising what we call an SME strategy for us. And that has brought about a number of things that helped this interventions to evolve over the years. Because what we primarily used to do in the past was we used to offer bursaries, for workers. We gave them unemployed youth, for them to host within their employment. But the missing piece was that how do you then assist a broker to ensure that they know that they need to work on their business and not forget that they still need to grow, they still need to develop, they still need to, as you said, evolve. There are emerging skills that are required at the moment.
Correct.
They should not fear the fact that there are bigger guys than them that are competing against them, but they should see competition as a way of learning. And in that, we started consulting associations, we started talking to brokers, especially those that have been able to survive for a very long time as to how did you do it? We collaborated with the FSEA to find out what is happening within the regulation that is impacting brokers to such an extent that some of them do not even grow further than where they are, or they close their businesses. So within those discussions, there's a lot of things that emanated from that as to INSETA, you need to change the way that you look at the SMEs now. It's not business as usual. It's not, I fit the small businesses like large and medium companies. We have to tailor make some of our interventions so that we can bring solutions to the table that would assist the brokers to obviously not see INSETA as, I can go there and get my bursary, but I can speak to INSETA and say, how do I resolve issues that I'm encountering now within my business? And through the research chairs, like Zak is saying, the topics that are coming up, things like what is it that they need now? There's a lot of talks about the new acts that are coming. How do we play a role as INSETA? So that's how we started changing the way that we look at things. We started partnering with a lot more role players so that they can assist us to also shape how do we support SMEs. And it's a very long journey that we're going to walk, unfortunately. It's not an easy quick fix, tick the box and you're done, unfortunately. But we see this as an opportunity for us to say, we've got NSDP 2030 now. So bits and pieces of every financial year, we have to take bits and pieces of what we intend on doing, implement, pilot, impact assessment, and then that will obviously take us or lead us to a more permanent solution, if I might put it that way. Perhaps it can happen in 3 years' time because we don't know what's coming next. So we open-minded now about what role do we play within this space.
Love it. Now, KG, I mean, being in the SME development space, age growth, right? We've found that, as the years go by, it becomes a bit of a challenge to keep SMEs committed on programs, right? Because SMEs are saying there's a lot of enterprise and supply development programs. There's a bit of SME fatigue in terms of ENSD programs. How do you guys ensure SMEs are committed on your programs? Also considering that brokers, sometimes it's a one-man
show.
Do you get what I mean? So how do you ensure that they are committed on the programs and actually get, the required support?
For that, it's a bit of a difficult one. And I say it's a difficult question, and it's very difficult for us to find brokers that are committed because, like you're saying, some of them they are at KI, they are still running their business, they're doing administration, they're still looking after the HR component of their business. So they wear many hats. So we have to, as INSETA, find ways to ensure that the development path is not a quick, short-term type of. And I think having partnered with, you guys in the past, we ran 2-year broker programs. The throughput rate was very good because a person can see themselves walking this path. They can see the results. And they can be able to live those results because of the commitment that they've shown. Obviously, it's not going to be 100%. That's impossible.
Correct.
But what we're looking at is obviously over a long-term period to look at programs that one can articulate into over time. So you've got a shorter program that will come in this year, perhaps 6 months' time, you go into something else. But it's a pipeline. It's a pipeline. It's not I do this program, next time it's something else.
Love it.
So those are the discussions that we're having with our strategy to say, let's not have your quick and what come in, do this program. Next thing, another program is advertised.
Agreed.
So within the discussions that we're going to have with research, and Zak is going to be assisting us in the new financial year, is that how do we get short-term, medium, and long-term? So they themselves, the SMEs, have to say, my immediate need is regulatory exams, if I want to put it that way, for example. Class of business. My next need probably would be that I need financial, type of training, or I need HR, or I need business management type of training. So they have to say what is it that they need so that if it comes from them, there's
Yeah.
going to be a level of commitment because they're the one that have asked for it.
Yeah.
So that's where we're looking at. We're not there yet.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
We're not there
These
yet.
are plans for the
These are the
future.
plans
Yes.
for the future to say, how do we then ensure that the commitment is there and the throughput rate at the
Yeah.
end of these programs, it's at a successful, percentage. Zach, I'm not sure if you want to add anything.
Yes, so we conducted a research with the Wits University on SME development
Yeah.
in the insurance sector. So a lot of what KG has been talking about and discussing now comes from the research. So as she said, we are implementing now because we got the research. So now we understand where the SMEs are having problems.
Aha. Love it.
So when it comes to regulations,
Yeah.
there's a lot of issues that SMEs are facing in terms
Yeah.
of regulations. So as KG was talking about the FSCA, conducting interviews and talking to the FSCA about regulations. And then we also have a lot of, the COVID-19 has impacted
Yeah, a
the
lot.
SMEs a lot because obviously they are small business. So the first people that get out of business or go out of business is SMEs because they are small. I mean, they don't have the funding
Agreed.
available. And another thing is the digitization, where because of COVID-19, we had the lockdowns that were happening at that time, and they could not work at the office, so they had to transition from office to work from home. So this is where, we have these issues where SMEs, and that's where the research was talking about, where the regulations and the digitization, the issues there. So this is the research that's talking to SMEs and insurance, and from there we will implement that and see where the issues are and then try and assist the SMEs in that.
Yeah, I'm loving that. So INSETA is doing quite a lot, from all that you've both explained. I want to understand, how do you guys measure impact, right? Obviously, your impact is also associated on some of the regulatory requirements, et cetera, but, do you look at other, like global sort of metrics, such as the Sustainable Development Goals, such as the NDP, but how do you measure impact?
That falls within Zach and Skills Division's portfolio. We do have impact assessments that we run for every single program the way we fund at INSETA. And I think that also sort of directs us in terms of, are we on the right track or not?
Agreed.
So Zach will talk about the impact assessments, but over the years I've seen it working in assisting us to inform us when we have to do our strategic planning.
There we go. Yeah.
Because if we know that, for example, learnerships are working, people are moving from learnerships to internships, they're getting absorbed. Some are not even finishing the path because the employers are loving what they have been given.
Lovely.
And the fact that our learners are committing. If you see the stats about people that have been placed, you also get to understand that means this is working.
Agreed.
Don't fix what is not broken.
Agreed.
Just
Agreed.
ensure that you improve and you increase is on it. So impact assessment is one of the very important programs or solutions that we have, that if we run that, when we do our strat plan, we know
it informs
it informs also, it assists as one of the elements that could assist us in what we need to implement.
Yeah.
And to add to that, we did do an impact assessment program and on the programs that we offer, and we found that a lot of the programs are assisting the learners to. Some of them started their own businesses. Some of them continued to work in the companies that they were employed with because the employers were quite happy with them, and some of them continued their studies into more advanced levels of insurance in the insurance sector or into data analytics, and they started expanding their studies on these aspects. And but what we found a lot from the research is that we found that in the insurance sector, there's a lot of gender disparities, and we need to increase women in leadership positions in the insurance sector. So the impact studies and the research tells us that we need to get women more involved in leadership positions in the insurance sector.
Love it. I'm smiling so much. I was telling my colleagues earlier that I'm now doing a course in women in leadership. So I do understand the challenges there. What are INSETA's plans regarding that? You know, you spoke about creating your own pipeline. I do know that the broker industry is very saturated, right? From a white-owned perspective, and now we're saying we want to start developing more black-owned brokers, right? In that, there's then this challenge of black female-owned brokers. So what are the plans in terms of building that pipeline? Are you doing anything with the institutions that you're working with academia?
So we get the research, and then from there we decide that, and KG can talk about the requirements into worker programs. But the research tells us that we need to look towards women in the workplace, to get women into these worker programs, because most of the SMEs are also male dominated. So this is where so we need to look at KG will talk about the requirements of the worker programs.
So we've got a number of programs, and let me talk to the SMEs one. So with our broker development program, obviously we sort of ensure that the beneficiaries that go into that program, a high percentage of them are women.
Nice.
Because obviously of what you talked about, as SETA, we do have transformation targets that we have to meet. So in every program that we implement, there's a very high percentage that has to be women, and from disadvantaged or the messy middle or whatever you want to call it, but women are a priority in every program that we have to run.
Love it.
So with one of the programs that we ran for broker development, and one of the management and leadership programs that we are running with the various institutions, when the applicants are there and we have to vet and give feedback, a high percentage of that has to be women. That's how we are forcing and channeling the transformation and ensuring that they benefit with this program. And I like the fact that some of the institutions now have got specific programs that talk to women in leadership.
Agreed.
And that's where INSETA is heading in terms of considering those programs, especially for employed individuals.
Lovely.
But our management and leadership programs now that we're running with institutions, that is how we are seeing people transitioning or being moved from one level to the next, because we run from level 5, level 6, level 7, and an executive level also.
Love it.
So sometimes you might see, having been at INSETA for a while, I will see a name popping up from an NQF level 6, NQF level 7, which means that the employers are also, they are supporting, the effort that we are trying to, to develop these women into high positions.
Correct.
So it will take a while, honestly, because as we know that the men have led this industry for a very long time, even in the broker space. If you look at it, it's majority owned. It's men. But I think our women are getting brave, to attempt. And we also have entrepreneurship programs where we run for youth, which falls within our strategic division, where we select unemployed youth. And there again, it's a high percentage of women. So we invest a lot in developing them through a series of programs. And at the end of that, then we have to see how many of these have got that entrepreneurship flair, and they do have the characteristics and the competence, and this is in them. And then we fund them to start up their businesses. So that we start increasing that entry of women or youth into this industry, because as we know from the research that we've seen, it's very, very old now. It needs to be revived a little bit.
Energize it a bit,
So again, that is a long-term thing. I mean, we've already started last year, and the number might be small at the moment of entrepreneurs that have started their business. We had 6 young entrepreneurs, and out of that 6, 1 was a guy and 5 were women.
Nice.
So it shows that, because the program is so intense, you can't take too many people until we get to a point where we see that, lessons that have been learned, and how can we then improve it so that more people can enter. But that's the other way that we're looking at it, is that not only develop what we currently have and employed, but bring youth also into the entrepreneurship space.
Our almost last question, should I say last? How can INSETA, or basically what advice would you give to other corporates when it comes to SME development? We're all trying to figure this thing out, right? The minute you feel like you've got this, an external factor comes, the pandemic comes, the economy is not doing well. So what would be your advice, having walked this journey, having partnered with all of these people, having to need to, align to regulatory requirements? What would be your advice to other corporates also in SME development?
From my side, I would say that sometimes solutions are looking right at us, but we're not seeing them. We have a lot of people that have been in the industry for a very long time. They've endured a lot, and they've managed to pull through and be successful at the end of the day. So having this experience, we need to use it to advantage. Talk to SMEs that have been there, that have moved from a small to a medium or to a large. There's a lot of lessons that we can learn from there. And use every single partnership that you have out there, because there's a lot of people that are willing to talk. We need to collaborate. I know that as INSETA, we've got some of the partnerships that we have with other SETAs because of trying to find solutions that will work for our sectors. So another SETA might come with something that we did not think of, for that matter. I mean, we have, industry associations that are very knowledgeable in terms of what is happening in these spaces, what is happening to their members, and, talking to these individuals and taking their feedback constructively will help us. So it's all about collaboration and talking to each other. And if we do that, we also don't duplicate effort. You find somebody's doing something and you also come up with the same thing. Let's talk together and find solutions that are going to be sustainable and improve the SME space, not only with skills development, but increasing sustainability of their business and improving the entry into this space. Because, like I said earlier on, it's very scary for somebody to go and start, because there's compliance with the regulation. There's money involved. You have to pay compliance fees. You have to get a compliance officer. So if we come up with solutions to try and support, we're not about, giving seed funding or anything. We are about skills development. So we just need to find solutions that are going to assist these entities with skills development or business support that would help them to stay relevant, to stay in the business and grow from there, but also to attract new entries into this. So for me, it's about collaborations. Don't sit in your little corner and think that you'll be fine. We have to talk to each other. We have to.
Agreed. Zach, not sure if you have anything to add there.
So I agree with KG. I believe that the issue with SMMEs is, yes, there are funding issues, but we are not a funding institution. We are a skills development institution. So our job is to try and skill the SMMEs or skill the learners that are coming out from the TVET colleges, so that they can have proper guidance in terms of running a business, and looking after the finances of the business. And so if they have that skills and that knowledge, then they are able to continue to sustain. And then we partner with our stakeholders who can provide that mentorship and guidance to the SMMEs and open linkages for them in terms of gaining customers and building their customer base in terms of that, and also to support the infrastructure in terms of digitization and building the knowledge on computers and remote working.
Agreed.
So it gives them that ability and that cutting edge in terms of a competitive advantage and to build an SMMEs. And and our focus should be on youth, because the government talks about SMMEs as the backbone of the economy and job creation. So we need to look at the skills to be able to enhance them, to be able to continue and build from small, medium to a large enterprise.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And there you have it, listeners. As Zach and KG have mentioned, the sustainability of SMEs is highly dependent on partnerships and collaborations. As the African proverb says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. Thank you.
Follow our podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, where we will be releasing a new episode every 2 weeks. Or subscribe to the Edge Growth YouTube channel to catch the conversation.